Welcome to TBC Plays. I am the Brit Canuck and I'm carrying on my series of videos where I show you where to hunt, what to kill, what quests to complete and how to do those hunter achievements. Today we're diving back under the mountains of Lava Storm to Solesek's Eye, also known as SolA. In game, it's full of a bunch of fire goblins and their allies, which mostly consists of some gnomes. But these gnomes, they're not like your gnomes that you want to be friends with. They're pretty mean. They're mean gnomes. But SolA, Solesek's Eye, is a classic era zone, and boy, can you tell with some of the graphics on the wall like that dartboard. The zone itself is kind of split up into three, what I like to call Goblin Town to the south, up north is kind of like the tunnels, and to the east is the Gnome Town. Now, it's loads of doors in this zone, there's some traps that don't really do any damage and look worse than there actually are, and there's an absolute load of fake walls as well that you'll need to follow. It's located just off Lava Storm Mountain, so it's super easy to get to. And one of the reasons why you should come here is because it is some of the fastest XP that you can get in Classic on a TLP. Now you can start coming to this zone with a good group, I would say around level 14, sticking to doing the fire goblins, and this zone can take you all the way up to like level 30, level 31, 32. Which is perfect timing because level 32 is when you can really start going down to lower Guk. So that makes SolA a really good alternative to Unrest. You know what, in fact I'd probably say this is better and faster than Unrest. In these first few levels, like when you come here you're going to be fighting goblins, and when you're starting to push into the mid 20s, that's when high 20s, that's when you can come over to the gnome and clockwork area. And the reason why I prefer it over Unrest is there's just more mobs. There are more mobs around, there's more mobs to pull from, and Unrest is a very popular zone, and that can lead to overcrowding, and you don't typically see that with SolA. Now it is more spread out than SolA, it's a bigger zone, so maybe that's why I'm not necessarily seeing the overcrowding here. It's just because the groups are split up and further apart. Now when you first come to SolA, you're going to be killing around the entrance, which is all the goblins, and then you'll be pushing in kind of towards where the bartender and those kinds of goblins are. And when you get a little bit higher, you're going to move further north, so you're going to be pulling the north area, and kind of where the kobold predator is, a slightly higher level, and then finally you're going to move over to the gnomes. Now the actual camps, really for SolA, compared to some of the other zones, there's not that many kind of formal camps. When you first come in, level 14, maybe level 16 to level 18, you're going to be at the goblins, which is mostly by the entrance, and where most groups hang out is over by the bartender. And here you go, this is the first trap you'll see. Yeah, it looks scary, it looks like it'll do you a bunch of damage, but it's pretty much harmless, even if it does hit you. But yeah, the window, if you take the shortcut, will bring you out there. And this is kind of where you'll be setting up. This is like the main kind of ways you'll get to the camps in SolA. And down here is the mobs, which are kind of like between level 18 to kind of 20, 22. And if I pull it up on the map, like see down here, you can see that SolA is a big and complex zone. There's lots of different rooms, lots of different directions to go. It's easy to get lost in if you don't have the map up, so I always like to keep it up, even today when I'm wandering around. Now there is a few rooms though, I always had the memory, I know exactly how to go to it, and I'm thinking for getting to mobs like Grim Blocks for that cleric epic piece. And these gates is kind of like the typical camp where you're going to be pulling to. And when you start getting a little bit higher, you're going to be wanting to start pulling mobs a bit more from the north because they are higher level. Now, to kind of get to the next area, you really got to be wary and looking at the map, because there are fake walls and that we need to go through, and they're easy to miss, and if you miss it, you'll end up in completely the wrong spot. So we head over this little bridge, and we're looking for a fake wall that is just here. There it is. See, That's so easy to miss. And when I'm camping up towards the north end of this zone, I always like to hang around and pull to kind of nearby where the Cobalt Predator spawns. It's a nice little spot, and you're close in case a Predator spawns who drops a couple of boots. So it's always good to, you know, be right on top of his spawn. How many times I've accidentally zoned out into Sol B, because there are zone lines to Sol B, which is again another safety net if you want to have that bit of extra security. Now around here the mobs are at that lower level, but when you go kind of past this point, this is when the goblins are going to be slightly higher level, more like 24, 25, 26, and the names even higher than that. And up here you have to be wary because there are these pit traps that you can fall in. And down here is a bunch of elementals that will not be your friends, and they are some of the highest level mobs in the zone, and they will wreck you if you're not ready for them or pulling them with the things like the DS, because if you're not prepared for them they can really hurt your group and you got a potential wipe. And I do really like the north end of this zone because it's in like a really nice little loop that you can kind of pull round, and there's lots of mobs in there to get as well. The last area we tend to go to in Sol A is this way, and that's the Gnomes and Clockwork area. There is the back way as well, but this is I think the easiest route to kind of get. It's very linear. You're not really going to be thrown off course by coming this way. Now this area does lead you into the highest level mobs in the zone, so be prepared. These Clockwork and Gnomes are the highest level ones in the zone, and they will hurt you if you are too low level to come in. But it's a fun area, and it's very different than the rest of the zone, which is why I think I really like coming here after spending some time in the caves. The Goblin Town to the south, like with all the different rooms, you got the caves to the north, and then you've got the Gnome and Clockwork area to the east. Now, groups will either pull to the outside of like that castle, or they will come this way to the inner area. There's a bridge there, but if you can't lev over, there's a button that you just press and it lowers a bridge behind that fake wall. Lots of fake walls still. And you know, there's what I often see groups camping is back here, and it's a nice little area as well for the name that spawns at the back. And again, traps. Not going to do a lot to you at this point. I mean, if it hits you, you think it's going to crush you, you'll do a little bit of damage, but no big deal. Very quickly, I'll just touch on some of the mobs that you'll be fighting in Sol A. Firstly, you got the goblins. They're kind of the bread and butter. The gnomes as well, so the regular gnomes as well as the clockworks, and you know, fire casters are always going to struggle in this zone because, you know, it's a fire zone, it's lava, so a lot of things here are resistant to the fire. The clockworks themselves are still, you know, if my memory serves, are quite resistant. And I should point out that if you are killing the gnomes, the clockworks, I think they screw up your gnome faction. So if you're gnome, you bear that in mind. It's maybe not the area you want to come kill in. And lastly, you've got the elementals as well, and they're kind of the three groups. There's not many elementals, and you typically see them if you're pulling the top end because they live in the traps and a placeholder for the reckless Ifriti. And the loot that drops in Sol A, there are some good pieces. I'm not going to list everything that drops here, that list will be long. I'm going to focus on some of the nice items. Rune Lava Pendant, nice neck with a bunch of strength on it. Probably good leveling up for a monk or a rogue, maybe if you're going to be doing a lot of meleeing. And that drops from the Lava Elemental, which is right at the back of the Clockwork section in like middle of the four-way. But a nice item to pick up. Gabby Mardoodle. I've included this one because I like her name. But no, I like her cloak that she drops. It's certainly good for leveling. 4 whiz. You know, that's decent when you're leveling for your casters. So if you're over in the Gnome Town, be sure to give Gabby Mardoodle a thing or two in order to get that cloak. An item you'll certainly remember from back in the day, and it comes from CWG model EXG, the Charred Guardian Shield, a CGS. Nice shield for leveling and a boatload of wisdom and AC, so it's great for those whiz casters, cleric, shaman and druids. Very famous item, and the clockwork kind of paths along the way to the gnome area. Often find it on this bridge. Also drops a breastplate, which isn't as good, but like I said, you come into this level, you're in your 20s, a new TLP, so you're probably wearing cloth or something, so probably gonna be an upgrade too. Singe, who kind of wanders around the northern area of the zone and drops a nice little belt. It used to be a lot better when we had the focus effects, and the earring's probably the better one for the intelligence or agility. It wouldn't be a Solesek dungeon without an Afriti, and there is one in SolA as well. But this guy's a bit reckless, and his placeholder is one down in the pit. It's one of the elementals, and he drops a weapon, two-hand slash, so it's probably going to be an upgrade at this point for a Shadow Knight or Paladin. The proc isn't really worth it, but you know what, it's there and it's probably better than anything you're using right now. The second item it drops, a platinum armband, is probably the better one, and it's a really nice armband for leveling up with the strength and the whiz. Kindle over here has some nice ink gloves. If you see Kindle, get those. The ring, yeah, lots of decks, bit of HP. Overall, not a bad ring. The Flame Goblin Foreman, who's chilling out at the bar, drops a scimitar, which seems to be missing the proc that all the other obsidian weapons have, and he drops a tunic as well, which is probably also an upgrade if you're leveling in a TLP. The Kobold Predator drops an obsidian shard, which is kind of odd that the last guy's sword doesn't have the shatter effect on it as well. And he drops the Kobold Hide boots, which nice bit of HP, some agility. Used to be a lot better when we had the focus effects on TLP. Infernal Goblin Torturer, he's got some nice little loot. He's got a nice face item, again with some caster stats on it, charisma, intelligence and stam, and he drops a weight reduction bag, and you can never have enough bag space. It's not a good one, but if you didn't buy the store bags and you're running out of room, then come find this torturer right down at the bottom and get his box, and then you go to Loguk and you get the evil eye bag as well. Chilling out behind the bar, the Fire Goblin Bartender drops some Drake hide, bed and cloth, has stats on it, all everyone can wear it. You'll probably pick it up if you stop by the bartender for a drink. The Goblin High Shaman chilling out by this fireplace has a nice little mana item, which is going to be good for the priest classes until you can replace it with something better. The Solesek Goblin King drops a ring. That's alright. That seems a bit pointless though. Got some mana on it, and you might be alright. I don't know if you don't have anything else. And I'll mention Captain Bip Nubble as well, only because he's got a funny name, and because he's the only named we've not already covered who is on the Hunter achievement list. He drops a gnomish environmental suit, which isn't very good. Just be careful, because he also drops this brick of blue ore, which has a huge weight on it, 22.5, so be wary about that. Now looking at some of the quests that you can do in SolA. Now I'm not going to go over every quest that touches on SolA, because there's loads of them, especially these kind of Temple of Sol Road quests where you only need one item from SolA and a bunch of them elsewhere, and this one is a perfect example of that, because this quest you're going to be working towards, say, the Rapier, which is for rogues, and you need the Sparkle, which comes from Linarda the Exiled. There are a few of these in SolA, so definitely do look them up. Another good example will be things like the Bard Lambent armor, that iconic blue armor of bards that's quested. Again, you'll be coming to SolA to pick up one or two of those pieces. One thing you will be doing if you're a bard is coming and seeing Marvin Bink Durple, who is a merchant, so you don't have to worry about faction. Part of the epic, you give him the invoice and you get a doll in return, which is part of the epic quest. But again, what an awesome Nomi name, Marvin Bink Durple. Clerics, you know what was coming, you know you have to come and get the ring from Lord Grim Bollocks as part of your epic quest, and yes, this is a time sinking. Yes, it can take a while because often there's not many picks of SolA, and this guy's usually perma-camp, to be honest, because every cleric needs to get this ring so they can get their epic. You could be lucky, you can get him to spawn straight away, or yeah, you could be waiting 20, who knows. Straightforward zone, really, SolA. There's not really all that much to say. A lot of people just do not come here. A lot of people are stuck on that kind of path going through Unrest, but SolA is a fantastic alternative, and I think it's actually better than Unrest. The thing about SolA is you've got the density in mobs, which is great, and you'll also make a lot of plat here. Bear in mind, all that drops sells for a plat each, and early on in a TLP, that's a lot. And so I am hopeful that it will see more playtime this go round. Usually on a TLP, new TLP, you'll see Unrest and it'll have like 10-15 picks, and you'll come to SolA and there's maybe 2 or 3 at best. I've never really seen more than that, and you know, I think that's a big shame because there is a lot of variety in the camps here. It's got a really nice kind of level path and trajectory of starting near the entrance, doing all these mobs down here, and then heading up towards the north end of the zone where the goblins get a little bit tougher, and then finally over to the gnomes and the clockworks. This zone can easily take you all the way from 15, 16, all the way up to you're ready to go down to lower Guk, and it's fast. So I'm hopeful that on Yelinak next week now, I will be coming to SolA because, like I said, fast XP, and you make a decent amount of plat as well while you're leveling here. The loot is meh in and of itself. It's not really the reason why I'd say come, but when you add in all of the fine steel and all that kind of drops as well, it does add up, and you do make a lot of plat. So it's definitely something to consider, and a zone I would strongly recommend leveling in. I did come here on Mischief as well as part of the leveling routine, and that was great too because the random loot, we got so much loot from Lower Guk, from those early camps in Lower Guk, such as like Guise of the Deceiver and the Ring of the Agents could drop here. I mean, obviously you're not going to have that now on Yelinak, but it's still a zone that I think you if you're applying to level fast on Yelinak, you're going to want to come to SolA, likely when you're 15, 16. So with less than a week to go now until Yelinak launches, the hype is certainly real, and I'm really looking forward to getting back into classic Everquest and exploring the world. Now that we have 8 weeks to do so, I can spend a little bit more time exploring rather than rush to 50 to get immediately to raiding. But what am I saying? I'll be doing that anyway, of course I will. So thank you so much for watching. SolA is a zone that I really like to play in. Again, it's straightforward, there's not much to say. But like I said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button down below. It really does help and it's very much appreciated. More videos coming up as we approach the Yelinak launch. I'll also be doing and recording my time on Yelinak, and then we'll look forward towards the Kunark expansion prior to its release and what we can expect to see from the Kunark zones. So I'm the Brick Canuck, and as always, I hope that you have a fantastic day.